where this lady was 100. She's the oldest woman in the world now, 115 years. She's living in Britain. And I just wanted to see what she attributed to living long. She said, I live long because I don't argue with people. She said, I don't argue. I listen to what you say and I do what I want to do. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Rayshon B.
And I'm Shaka. How old was she?
She's 115. She's still alive. She's 115.
And she, what? Is she white?
She's in Britain. Yeah, she's a white lady.
Oh, she's a white lady.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was a black lady I heard was 123 in Africa, but they ain't really posting that one too much. But yeah, 115. She said her life, she don't argue with people.
And that's how she got to be.
That's what she said. That's what she attributed it to.
Okay.
Some people attribute it to good food. Some people attribute it to good sex. Some people attribute it to just good genetics. She said, I don't argue with your sucker fool booty. That's that.
All right.
The sky is blue. Word. Okay. The sky is pink. Cool.
Damn.
Like what?
115.
115. I'm just trying to make 102, but that's giving me. I'm not going. I'm like I'm on 110. She looked pretty. She looked pretty with it too. Let me tell you. She looked pretty with it. See? For 115, she looked pretty with it.
Yeah. She don't look no younger than
that. no older than 99. She look good to be 100. Girl, you look good to be 78. I love telling young girls that. But you look fine to be 66. They be like 30. I like, you look good to be 60. They be like.
You just rude, man.
I mean, I'm saying you look good.
Ain't trying to get no peace leave.
Not from them, probably if I said it. Probably if I said that.
I ain't getting none no way.
I told my homegirl today, she fine, she pretty. I think you know, but she pretty, man. And I was like, and I saw, and I was like, I see you. I be trying to tell myself, like, you ain't all that. I say, you ain't all that. And then I see you, and I'm like, yeah, because she was fine.
I just can't deny.
I was like, yeah, dog, girl. Hot. But yeah, my girl. You know her. I know her. Yeah, I had to watch myself dropping names. I drop names.
I know you drop names all the time.
I know. I'm like I'm about to get hemmed up. People like, you drop my. Oh, my
bad. Yeah.
It happened. Sorry.
Some people don't like that. They
funny get over it.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, some people funny about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I guess they think they I don't know if they understand. I talk junk to the Ninth Ward like I ain't gonna talk junk to them. Like, come on.
Yeah, but the difference is that you're not. You're doing that because you're not in proximity to the Ninth Ward.
Not doing that. I'm not in proximity to them either.
Game recognized game on that one.
Game recognized game. I got Ninth Ward right beside me. What you talking about?
Ass ain't gonna go down.
I got Ninth Ward right here beside me. Proximity.
Yeah, but close. I'm more of
a bike stealer. I love that story.
I ain't gonna share no more stories with you, man.
Come on, man. That makes the show.
You exploit my stories.
I exploit everything.
My life. It's my life.
I love your life, though, man.
It's my life, man.
I love you, bro.
It's my life.
All right. See, I told you. I told you that lilac shirt. Lilac.
It's my life.
Anyway, man, let me get to the real stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a lot of stuff going down this week about executive orders and your boy Trump doing stuff and saying stuff and all that. I want your thoughts, man, because I was moving, so I didn't get the real deal. I had some people ask me stuff, and you know me, I'm always like, well, I don't know, but it sounded like one was telling me, like, there's the police oversight, that's just gonna give police more power, less more immunity to the law, and that they're able to use private organizations to help them out if it's a possibility. I'm like, I didn't get a chance to look it up, but I was kind of talking. I'm like, ain't that about the same where we at now? And if that's not, I also didn't hear that there was a gun control law. You better go to the store and pack up. Like, I don't have time to cry, man. I'm going to give me another piece and go to work and just have stuff ready for whatever. I don't know. I don't know. So that's why they called me early in the morning. I was tired too. So that was also.
I didn't hear that, but
okay.
I mean, they've been taught even under the Biden administration, who made people think that they were.
Is he still alive?
Addressing. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Who cares? I shouldn't have said that. Damn.
I'm rubbing off on him, y'all.
I mean, this police reform thing it's never been really a thing that anybody's been trying to do. Never. And you're saying give them more powers?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised by that.
I'm not either.
I mean, and I know that we have, I know that this administration and the president is getting a lot of support. And depending on who you talk to, you know, how much support he's getting or how much support he's not getting.
Right.
All the different areas of our society that is being affected by these things that they're trying to do. The thing about the police part is when we talk about more oversight in what areas?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? More powers to do what?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, are they going to be like just, you know, no Fourth Amendment at all, just kicking down doors and, you know, under Biden, they already tried to get rid of allegedly tried to get rid of the Miranda rights.
Yeah.
Or weaken the Miranda rights.
Right.
So, I mean, that was under Biden.
Yeah.
So, I think things are pushing further and further to a degree where, I mean, is this what we really want? Because the people who are advocating and are putting battery packs in lawmakers' back to do these things, they don't understand that this is going to eventually come to their front door too. The things that you think are going to affect the others, because I think this is what the people who are advocating for this for, they certainly don't think that they are going to be affected by it. You know what I'm saying? Or their communities. And I'm not just talking about black, white, you know, poor versus whatever. Just like that thing that happened a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to politicize it. What happened, it was wrong. But think about this for a minute. You say, a person has a right to protect themselves, mm-hmm. right? Stand your ground.
Right.
But then when a black kid stands his ground,
right,
now you want to say, you want to change the narrative.
Right.
And you're throwing the rule out now. You're not even, I'm talking about media, law, everybody, not even addressing the fact of stand your ground. But do we remember Trayvon Martin?
People don't remember that.
You know, and not only so much where it speculation or it was, okay, two dudes squared up with each other mm-hmm. and one ended dead. One could say, okay, all right, you know, mm-hmm. there was a fight. Who knows what happened? Nobody knows who started it. In the dark place where not a lot of, nobody witnessed it. Two people squared up and one ended mm-hmm. fine. But you have a whole scenario, a sequence of events that happen where the dude is on the phone, police is telling him, hey, don't approach the guy. The guy is minding his own business, walking away. This dude, clearly, you can hear him pursuing this guy. Right. He's not law enforcement. He's just a private citizen. And the boy ends up dead. Mm-hmm. Not only that, the day after, we start trying to dox the boy, mm-hmm. the 16-year-old. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, he smoked weed in school. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, what kind of student was he? You know, oh, well, he wasn't really that. What? None of that matters. See, that's public opinion type stuff. That has nothing to do with
make that.
Right. So I know I sound like I'm going all around the corner to get next door, but back to this. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying all that to say, be careful about these laws that you are so crazy about having that you think is only going to protect you mm-hmm. because you're going to be on the other side of the fence of that. Right. And that goes with all these other things that people are trying to support.
Right.
That it's going to come back and bite you too.
Yep.
So that was my whole point to that. I don't know if I made any sense. But
I wonder sometimes if those people that are really supporting it have a scapegoat for themselves. Like, you know, that's a power deal. Yeah, we get all these guns away. I kept mine. I kept my guns, and now I'm ahead of the game.
That's my point.
Yeah, I'm saying it's like someone might.
And it's always been that way. Yeah. It's been like, we don't want inner city, for example, and this is just an example, not trying to target anybody. We don't want inner city hoodlums with guns. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Inner city hoodlums with guns. They're a menace. They're killing everyone.
Super predators.
Super predator. All that stuff.
All that.
But they're not talking about the endless, week by week incidents that are happening that has nothing to do with inner city kids using guns.
I don't want to talk about that.
Right.
Let's hide that. Let's hide that factor and stick with this.
Right. You know.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's why when I hear something about these laws or something change like that, I'm like, I don't get all worked up because I'm like, for me, I feel like it's going to be the same game. I don't feel like it's going to be any different. I felt like that already. Yeah. I didn't even know there was an oversight committee from what I see.
Yeah.
If something happened to me, my mom ain't going to hear nothing from no oversight committee.
And the other part,
we were just hoping the cop get fired. Like,
right. Exactly.
Did he get fired?
You know, yeah.
Like,
oh, you got 3 weeks leave? Paid leave.
Right. Go get another job in another city, dog. Take your time.
And the other part of that is you have, man, this is crazy. You have people who are just throwing red meat to their constituents.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I truly believe, and this is my theory, I truly believe, like, all the optics of these people being herded onto planes and sent back to these different countries and stuff, are there thousands really? Dude, come on, really? That, I think, my theory, that's red meat for the people who voted for that and really want that. Mm-hmm. To say, they're really doing it. Doing it.
I'm working for you, dog.
Yeah, they're really doing it.
Put me in 2 years.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile, you and I mean, 'cause we live somewhere where we, so like.
They done got relocated somewhere where they blend in. Hey, dog.
How you doing, Jose? What's up? What's up, man?
We got to put y'all over in somewhere like San Diego. You can't be in Ohio right now. Let me ship you out here. Trust me, it'll be much safer.
Your parents is where?
They where?
Let's take you down to Florida.
Oh, okay. There you go, dog.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I mean, two things can exist at the same time. They could be doing some things. I totally agree with the whole, criminal thing. I agree with that. I mean, you're a guest in a country, and to me, it doesn't make sense. And me having worked in certain areas in my life where I've seen it firsthand, I understand it. You got a person that's like, shouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about any race of people. It could be anybody. He could be Lithuanian.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Because people
and he's part of a criminal organization here, thriving, living under the radar.
Right.
There's a whole system that, they can maneuver in.
Right.
And they're doing crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need you out of here, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If I had a choice between Maria, who's been here, got 3 kids, she's worked hard, she's made her way to working a regular W-2 job somewhere because she's had to work under the radar, and she's doing her thing, and she ain't bothering nobody. And you,
Maria, stay. But that went under the table, under the radar. Right. Got connections, got paper. Like, it's a different. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm a black man in America. I don't know what to tell you.
shit real. So I'm gonna just go ahead and rob my lane, take care of my family.
Yeah.
And watch the cops because they ain't gonna. I mean,
but when you get those comments that we've gotten over the decades about we're lazy and look at these people.
I don't hear that, man.
They do the work that you don't want to do. And all this
they do it with pay that you don't want to pay us.
Thank you.
I'm from North Carolina, man. I watched construction. I was 15 making like $14 an hour.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Grown men was making enough to pay. Their wives were not even working. They were stay-at-home moms. So no, he can't do that for $8.
Exactly.
No. Tobacco people in Eastern Carolina, that was a whole sharecropper. They grew that into a whole business.
Mm-hmm.
No, they can't work this for $10 an hour.
No, ain't no way.
No. So I want to do it, and I tell people, being out west, I understand that it's worked a little different because it's been a different migrant worker since basically inception of the country because it's different. But on the East Coast, it worked a little bit different. Like that was a whole different game.
I watched a documentary about 10 years ago, probably about 10 years ago. And I kind of stumbled on this documentary. I wasn't looking for it. And it was talking about these migrant workers and black people that worked in the fields.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole system of effed up system. They would go, it was seasonal. They would go from down into Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and they would come, black people,
Yeah.
would come up through the state of Florida, up into the Carolinas.
Okay.
And by the time it was a certain season, they'd
They
come
start
back
heading back
down,
down, yeah.
start heading back down. Back-breaking. I mean, it was just slavery. It was slavery.
Yeah.
You know, and the whole system was there. The economic system was there that, you know, by the time you got through owing the people that you was working for,
Oh, yeah.
you came back down to Florida with nothing.
That's right.
You know, and it's just a horrible, horrible, horrible system. So that exists all over the place.
Yeah.
I've even seen the one where they were coming across the South, from the east to the southwest.
Okay.
And then they got them that go up from the southwest into the north. I mean, it's just it's a system that we as regular people, Americans, don't have a clue about.
Right.
That the system is taking advantage of it. And they make you and I sit at a table and debate about, you know,
Oh yeah.
legal,
Always.
illegal.
Yeah, that's how you keep it. That's how you keep people separated.
Right.
I like that. I don't like it. No, it ain't even about that.
So if going back to your tobacco
Mm-hmm.
example, yeah, I want to pay you $8 an hour, but I'm a multi-billion corporation
Mm-hmm.
that I can afford to pay you $15. I can afford to.
But I want
But
my
why?
profits. I need my profits.
The law isn't coming after me for illegal workers. And when I say illegal workers, I'm not even just talking about foreign workers. I'm talking about American illegal workers, because we do have labor laws
People forget about
that people ignore.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ignore labor laws to work in that system.
Yeah.
If you're getting $8 an hour
Yeah.
and you're working from sun up to sundown.
Yeah.
And by the time you finish, and I'm kind of mixing the 30s and 40s with this, but I can't see it being that much different, that you're always short and you still got to live and eat in the meantime.
I mean, that is unless you maybe might be from another country and y'all can bunk up together and put that money anywhere at work, versus being an American in a household and being used to American stuff.
Yeah.
It works a little different.
But I always, and you're right, but I always throw this in there with that. Same thing with Asia, places in Asia. They say, well, they'll work for, they work for 13 cents an hour, for 23 hours a day and this and that. Imagine this. Imagine working in a factory and you're making 75-inch televisions all day. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're the person that puts in the motherboard, or you're the person that puts in the, I don't know, whatever you do.
Yeah.
And day in and day out, you see these beautiful televisions. And then you see the stacks of boxes of these televisions that's going to go around the world. At what point are you going to say, it would be so nice to have one of the motherfucking televisions?
Yeah, wonder.
I would have to work 6 months, maybe more, to get one of those TVs.
Right.
At what point you're going to start getting upset and angry and demanding more money?
Well, it depends. Depends on what you're used to. It depends on where you're living. What if you're somewhere
We're talking about aspiration.
No,
We're talking about
that might not be
aspiration.
your
And
aspiration.
this is what's happening around the world.
Yeah.
India, Indonesia,
Yeah.
long time in China. You got people in China that, of course, you can find a poor place anywhere in the world. You can find bunches of them in America.
Yeah.
But those people are getting wages. They're getting money. They're living, they're bettering their lives.
Yeah.
They want the TV.
So
They want the iPad, the iPhone.
So is their wages better in their life, or
What I'm saying is that sparks a revolution.
Oh yeah.
And I don't mean revolution as that they're burning cities down. what I mean is that
Nobody else do that but us.
that's not true.
Not true. That true. I take that back. I take that back.
But
cats get real. My bad. Cats get really
we
real.
fake do it now.
Yeah,
we think if we all go on Facebook and have a start a Facebook.
I take that back. I spoke soon. No, them cats get in. Boy.
Yeah.
They be in. Shots fired, son.
And not to sensationalize it, what I'm saying is when people see that the rest of the world is living a certain way, they want some of that too. Not to say they're not going to be in condos with this and that way. But I'm saying they want better too.
Yeah.
They not want to go to a dirt hut somewhere and they've been making the 75-inch televisions all day and seeing that the rest of the world is living a certain way. Something sparks a person to say, you know what? I want better too. Mm-hmm. And that is happening around the world.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't forget where I was going with that.
Yeah, we went all the way off.
But no, because we were talking
it's
about.
Good, but we
like
we left.
The
executive.
So my point to it, I remember now. People that come to the U.S. And you say, they're migrants. They just want to fucking pick oranges and just go back to Sinaloa somewhere. No, they get here and they see the big stuff. They see the nice cars. They see the this and they see the that. And they already been told if you work hard, you can get, get that. What do you think they started aspiring to that? That's why. How many Hispanics do we see with F-150s out here?
Yeah. But I also think it's the next generation, like that first generation.
No, it's not just the next generation.
If you're coming in and you want to get a house, you want to secure some things. I guess at some point you do. Yeah, I mean that's human nature.
Yeah,
you want to get more.
And that's why I think a lot of people they kind of. I'm not talking about the criminals. And by the way, the same spirit is in the criminal too.
Right.
They just going about it another way. But they're like, hey, I want that. I want this. I want to dress like this. I want to dress like Jay-Z. I want to drive that. I want to, you know what I'm saying?
I'm going to get it.
So they go a different route to get it.
Yep.
So I'm talking about aspiration. So people that are coming here, most of them, and even the people back in the 60s, 70s, whatever, they kind of did it differently. They say, well, you know what? We just want to work hard until we can buy a house. Yeah. And maybe that's the dream, to buy a house.
Yep. That might have been it.
So anyway.
Yeah.
That's my soapbox for
But we went all the way off for police.
I know, went off the rails there. What was it about
he
police?
Was something.
What was it about police?
It started about police, the executive oversight.
So how did we get way over there?
I don't know. You started talking about what you.
No, you were talking about the tobacco thing and the $8 that triggered me.
That was after you had already gotten over there. When you go back and go back, you're gonna be like, dang. I left because you got on Trayvon Martin and stuff, and then remember last week when you got on Trayvon Martin? No, it was this show, but it was like last week how long ago it was. And then you left Trayvon, and we were talking about the oversight and how people got away with that, and then it just kind of morphed into.
Oh yeah, we were talking about oversight. We were talking about the police thing.
And then we became.
Oh no, I was talking about the how people are riding for these laws.
Yeah,
they want these laws, and that they don't realize that it's going to boomerang and affect them.
Yeah, and it kept moving.
Yeah, that's how I do it.
Yeah. So one more, I guess. Did you hear about the the tax on the Black Smithsonian? Did you hear about that? I think some of the cuts are going to change.
The Black Smithsonian?
Yeah, the Black History, the Black African American Museum.
I didn't know there was a Black Smithsonian.
Well, they call it that. That's what they quotations, Black Smithsonian.
So is it?
So basically, they're taking
Smithsonian is like a bunch of.
It's the I think the African American Museum. So so a lot of the things that are going on in there depicts Black history, but because
just so I understand, I'm sorry to cut you off. Are you saying the Black History Museum in Washington?
Yes, I think that's one.
Right. Okay, I'll shut up.
No, you don't have to shut up. Right there. See, so they call it the Black Smithsonian because it's got all the stuff and everything. Oh, okay. But basically, some of these things they want to change out some of the displays because they say they're not representing America as a whole. It's saying that it wasn't so bad, and you know, that we need to take some of these things out and kind of whitewash it, and it doesn't represent the inclusiveness of America.
Why do you think they're, now you say they, I'm assuming you're talking about non-black people.
Yeah, Trump's administration, I think.
Okay. So why do you think the administration is even talking on that level about
Because we played ourselves. We fell for somebody's trap that said tear down them daggone statues. And since we tore down statues and was like, oh, it's payback. It was a long game. Instead of putting an epitaph and saying, yo, this is what happened, and then build another statue beside it and say, let's really piss you off. Now beside General Lee, you're gonna watch Malcolm X. And now, no, we gonna tear him down. And so we got rid of history. So guess what they gonna do? They got
got rid of history.
Yeah, we fell for that. We fell for that with the
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
We fell for it.
I didn't fall for it.
I didn't either. I'm just saying we, as you know us.
Yeah.
But this is that's why it's trying to get out of school. I think it's a big repercussion. You know me and I ain't gonna call it conspiracy theory. I just know how history plays itself in America towards blacks, African Americans. I think personally, I feel very strongly that when those went down, that was the green light, and it was like, yes, now we can change history everywhere because you took a few statues, but we're gonna one up you and we're gonna do all this, and you really can't say nothing because look at that.
Okay, so
that's how I feel.
I think there might be some truth to that, to what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
However, the reason they're able to do that is because that museum was probably partially funded by the United States.
It was.
And this goes back to Martin Luther King, Malcolm X.
And Todd P. Schuler.
This goes back to Minister Farrakhan. This goes back to Elijah Muhammad. When you own your own stuff, nobody can tell you what to do with it.
So now go
We
back.
keep on trying to be co-opted. We keep on trying to be co-opted. Something the Black History Museum should have no other outside entity involved in its financial structure.
So this is where I go back to: if every black household gave $50 and you run with $100 million for government or to the Smithsonian, whatever you case, we don't. I got. I work with all the clients around. They're building a new Jewish museum in Phoenix. I think it's $26 million. Blah 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 blah. I don't think it's even broke ground. $20 million of it is already procured.
Yeah, totally
already.
Totally.
Why? We can do that. 20 million is only a few people giving $100.
Well, you have a lot of wealthy black people, and I'm not telling pocket watching or telling anybody what they need to do, what they can and can't do with their money. But you have a lot of non-black people who will funnel part of their riches into non-black entities.
Yeah.
And hey, maybe that's your thing. For example, maybe you say, you know what? I rock with the Cancer Center of America because, I had a family member or I went through something and I want to, that's where my heart is. Fine. My thing is this. They don't need your money.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need your money. But they'll sit there and they'll nickel and dime you, or they'll complain all day long about why it's not important to have a black blah, 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 blah. That's what I love about Tariq Nasheed.
Mm-hmm.
Say what you want about him, whether you like him, dislike him, you think he's too black, you think he's too this, you think he's that, whatever. That brother raised almost $4 million to start a Black History Museum.
Yeah.
Funded only by black people who gave him that. Now, throughout that process, you have especially some black people talking about, oh, he's a con artist and he's a this. What is he doing with the money? When is before the thing got finished?
Right.
When is it going to come up? People that didn't even contribute. I want to know what you're doing with the money. Are you going to go over to the Jewish thing that they're saying that you're going to ask them what they're doing with their money?
Right. No.
So that is the biggest thing. Nobody could ever go over to Tariq Nasheed's museum and say, I think you need to have anything in there, black or white.
This is ours.
Because it's there and they own it.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start getting into that mindset.
Well, we in that mindset until we want something. Like we in it, we get it. I'm getting the bag. I'm getting the bag. And I always say, when the going gets tough, we always revert back to America owe us. We were slaves. Yes, that's all facts.
Well, I want my reparations.
That's all facts. But then here you go, the government. This is where we fall. And so we fall into that. The government funding us again.
You're right. You're right. Like when it comes to organizations and entities and things like that, absolutely. I don't know why I don't understand it. I don't understand why we're able to co-op with other organizations and other groups, whether it's the government or whatever, and not with each other on that.
Because we're looking at price tag and what we're going to get and how much. We don't like to put enough skin in the game.
Right.
We don't want to put. We feel that our ancestors' skin was our skin. So
the part about reparations,
right?
Cash reparations is the only way that it should go.
Right.
Because I don't want your grant for school. That's only a means by which you are funneling money to another established organization that I'm not going to see any benefit from.
Right.
So basically, you're going to give me a voucher for $3,000 to take to a university that's $30,000 and say, here, this is my reparations voucher for college. I'm still on the hook.
Yeah.
Plus, that's no different than them giving the check directly to the university because they know you're not going to finish anyway. But anyway,
dang, dog,
you're not going to be able to finish. You still got to eat. You got to go to work. Yep. But so cash is the only thing. Don't worry about what I do with my cash. If I went and bought 700 pairs of Jordans, guess what? I'll put money back into the economy.
But you still on the hook because they gave you that money. You think they ain't gonna find something?
It can't be. Are the Asians still on the hook?
We ain't Asian.
See, keep saying that.
We ain't.
Are they on the hook?
We just talked about the whole.
Are they on the hook?
Wait. We just went through a whole show.
Yeah, but
how
are they on the hook?
We on the hook of everything else, from cops to this.
Well,
so obviously, again, this is where we be falling.
You know why we keep getting
short. This is where we falling short. We on the hook here, but we don't want to be on the hook here.
Well,
but it's the same person that's making the hooks.
Going to somebody and saying, "Hey, look, I want a 501c to do blah 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 blah. It's going to cost me $4 million to do this. Can I please have $3.5 million to get it started?" Oh yeah, sure. We'll give you $3.5 million grant to get it started, but this is what you're going to have to do for that.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is, right here. Boom, 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 boom.
That's
boom,
a hook.
boom.
Yeah.
So when one administration is in, they're going to say you're going to have all these programs enacted. You're going to have to hire a certain amount of people for this and for that, and you're going to have to run it this way.
That's a hook.
Another administration comes in and they say, no, you don't have to do none of that. But new policies. You're going to have to hire these kind of people and address this right here and get rid of this and get rid of that.
Okay. Same hook.
When you partnership with other people, that's just what you give that up. That's different from saying, you know what, hey, look, cut me a check and that's it. And I go and do whatever I want to do with that check.
Same
The
hook.
problem is we don't have enough people. Number one, we don't have a lawyer class because you need a lawyer class. All of our lawyers, they just want to go and work for other people and they want to get the bag. Not saying nothing is wrong with getting the bag.
Let's go hire another lawyer.
We don't have Thurgood marshals. We don't have people. These things are fought in courts now.
So then let's go hire another lawyer.
Yeah, but it's not just enough to hire a lawyer.
So let's go get
you have to hire
the lawyer.
The lawyer that is going to advocate for what you're riding with.
It goes back to how much skin we trying to put in the game. We can go hire one of them Jewish lawyers that know the game. Let's pay up. We gonna get more out of it, but we don't want to do that. We can go ahead and donate $50 for elections and pay for the things that we want when the new president gets in and say, hey, we want this. We want oversight, and to make sure this happens, here's $50 million to ensure that we own this and we have oversight. We want a museum. We don't want to give $10 a person. We got 20 million households. Let's go ahead and everybody get 20 million. That's 400 million. That's for $20. That's 20. What is that? $400 million, $40 million. Boom. We got that. Okay, now it's 40 million for the thing. We only gave $20. We don't want to put the skin in the game.
No,
and,
I agree with that.
But then we get upset when the skin don't we ain't got no skin in the game.
Well, I think
and we
that,
want
I think
skin
the
on
people
certain
that
things,
don't.
but
Because I think there are different types of.
my thing is,
and by the way, we're talking about this, but there's a bigger picture to it than just black people.
yeah. My thing is this: we talking about we on the hook for this and this. Whatever we talking about, whether it be reparations, whether it be 501c, whether it be we are looking at the same entity that's making the hook. So whether you buy a silver hook, a black hook, no, whatever we talking, this entity is not going to give you nothing without a hook because they make hooks. So whether they give you reparations with cash or a voucher or a 401c or whatever the case is, you're going to have a hook.
I don't agree with that on the reparations part. I see what you're saying when you're talking about, when you're talking about an NAACP or Urban League or National Black Museum, all these things that are basically partnerships with white entities who sit on the board. I guarantee you, if we look up the board to that thing there, a black museum, and find out who's on that board.
I'm sure.
So, of course, you got decision makers, and then you start going into the political realm. These decision makers are clicked up with the policy makers.
Right.
And a lot of it is sabotage. Yeah. Right? They're in there to sabotage and make sure you don't get too big.
So if
I'm
cash,
talking about.
So now let's say you said make sure you don't get too big. You think if they gave us reparations in cash, that they ain't gonna do something to make sure we don't get too big?
Well,
that's a
thing
hook,
is this.
sir.
Well, the thing is this.
Even if you just say,
there's too
I'm gonna
many
raise the
examples
prices.
of people that got reparations, and I get your point. You're saying, well, those people are not black people, so there's some special consideration to black people.
There is.
So that part right there, that is the lawyer class situation right there.
Let's buy.
So
Jewish
we
lawyer.
don't have the lawyer class to say, okay, if. I can't even think of a scenario where in giving cash reparations that they would be able to come back around and do some hokey doke.
You know what they could do?
Because that's Congress enacting a law. So it's going to already be outlined.
First thing they're going to do is say, oh, well, your black communities, oh, yeah, remember when y'all were talking about how underpriced and how underrated everything is? Let's go ahead and raise this property value back what it is, and you guys got to pay these taxes.
Well, when you say let's, who you're talking about, though? Because prices are going up already anyway.
No, I'm talking about in red line communities and black communities that are always suppressed in pricing, whether it be how much you're selling for, how you make for it, property tax, all the property, the values are suppressed. All of a sudden, I guarantee they're going to go up and they're going to meet the market, if not exceed the market.
Okay, then let them go up.
So that,
it's happening now.
There's your first hook.
That's not a hook.
That house
That's not a hook.
That house that you couldn't get the money for, they're going to elevate it and they're going to add that property tax.
They're
going. So you got money, but guess what? You're about to separate with it, and it wasn't yours.
That's a defeatist mindset because prices are going up now. Houses are medium prices now are $400,000-$500,000.
Actually, in Phoenix, they actually dropping. They're almost in half.
Still $400,000. I just looked yesterday because I'm in the market looking for a house. Still $400,000.
I seen something dropping, boy.
Yeah, they're dropping what though? They're dropping to what? Are they dropping from 8 to 5?
They dropping to pre-COVID.
Dude, okay. I just looked yesterday, but my whole point of saying is that's all relative. My point is this: it's still if the system decides like it already has. Remember, we were in administration with Biden, and everybody was pissed off and mad because the prices, everything, the cost of living was going up. And then our new administration came in. They got a whole new different thing they're doing, and the prices are constantly still going up.
I agree.
So I'm not trying to make this a political thing. I'm just simply saying that none of us have any control about the prices.
I agree with that.
There is a bait and switch that's going on that making people think that you have some control over that. Oh, it's because of this. 2 years ago, it was because of one thing. Today, it's because there's another excuse as to why they're up.
Right.
And some people are rocking with it. Some people are rolling. Some people are acting like they don't. they don't want to address it. And some people are just hard-headed. They're like, yeah, it's going up, but this is our guy. This is what we want, and it's going to work itself out. Okay, fine. However you want to look at it. I'm just looking at the numbers. I'm just looking at the cost of living. I'm just looking at my daughter and my nieces and nephews who are at the age now where they should be looking for a little bullshit apartment somewhere with their little bullshit job until they can get their money up in their little careers, and they can't even do it.
I agree.
So all that other stuff you can miss me with, they're going to always use a scare tactic about what's going to go up, how much harder it's going to be. You know what? Let's do that. Run that. I don't care. Run it.
Here's my deal.
Run it.
I'm for it.
Because all black people don't live in black enclaves anyway.
Yeah, here's the deal. I'm for it too. I'm just talking about the hooks, because what we always seem to get is like we want things. We say we're gonna, as I always say, we always gonna get the bag, and then at certain points,
no, but we don't always. We don't get it. We never get it.
We say personally we're gonna get the bag.
But we never get the bag.
Because right when we're about to get the bag, we stop and we wait for somebody.
When have we been about to get the bag?
We're always about to get the bag. We start over many a times.
When?
We start over many times. We can start. Let's see. We was about to get the bag, in my opinion, before Biden. First thing, when he first got in, we was pushing for his bag.
Let me ask you this.
We was pushing for his bag.
Let me ask you this. What were we about to get? And this is the bait and switch right here.
Here we go.
What were we specifically as black people about to get?
That's specific.
That no other group was going to be beneficial to.
I never say that.
Okay, then.
But what I'm trying to see is
that's like saying you got COVID money.
What I'm saying, because like you look at your daughter, I look at several people and their kids, and I was watching them get to some positions that was allowing them to do some different things. So because I also give the kids that ain't mine. Lots of them.
Okay.
Because I'm watching to make sure that we can build some things. And I was watching how people was getting here, and I watched a mass of people that was really hustling, getting this thing, and all of a sudden it was like, whoa, we got a new president. Hey, you gonna give us this? We gonna give us this? Instead of head down, let's run through this thing. Okay, we gonna see what you do, but we not gonna stop here. We're not gonna pass up our cards and be like, oh yeah. No, we gonna keep digging and go for this thing. Was we about to get it? Maybe, maybe not. However, I saw progress stop because people kind of was like,
well, that's an individual thing.
We're supposed to get this. Well, I saw a lot of individuals make a group. Lots of individuals
and by the way,
make a group.
That thing I think you're probably talking about this whole, college forgiveness thing.
I mean, that's one. That's one. I'm talking about just basic life things. I'm just talking about people paying for bills. I'm talking about people trying to at least get a car. I'm talking about people getting an apartment. I'm seeing families that were actually finally, we would say, generational curses. I'm seeing all these things beginning to happen across different areas of the country with different people. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, wait. Let's just see the government give us this. And then the hooks began. We push hard and then we stop. We push hard, we stop.
Listen, this whole ideal about, and this is where some of us as black people just get it messed up when we start repeating. And I'm not saying you're doing it.
No,
we start repeating the
Rayshon talking on his own shit.
Repeating the overseer's logic, right? This whole idea that, you're just trying to get something from the government and the bait and switch of the government and this and that. Everybody from corporations, Elon Musk, everybody feeds off the government. Everybody get money from the government. That's number one. Number two, the people that have wealth today that can sit back and talk about the ones that don't, their predecessors and their forefathers and foremothers benefited from some government thing that allowed them to get into some role, some level in society that allowed them to take the ball and run. Let's stop playing.
I think our problem.
You always turn into the black people and saying you shouldn't want nothing from the government. That's one thing. The second thing is, dude, that's my tax bill. I pay taxes. So any money that I get back from the government, that is my money. Okay. So stop missing me with this whole thing about you're just trying to take something from the government. That is my money.
So I think you're reading me wrong, because I'm not saying you're just trying to take something from the government. What I'm saying is we give up our thing. For instance, we don't put game. We want something from the government. Let's put some more skin in the game. It's why like you want a loan for a business. You want a loan for the business. Part of it is how much money you gonna put up front. How much? If I'm with I've invested in business, I need to know how much money you're gonna put into your business before I take the risk on your business. I want you, as I always say, as people, let's put some money together. It ain't gotta be a lot. We got a lot of people. Let's start with getting $50 million, $100 million. 20 million people give $50. That's $100 million. Boom. Now we got skin in it. Let's make some laws that are going to benefit us in the next generation, that make the government give us something. Part of the thing we don't get some of these things that the predecessors is because we ain't put something in there to go ahead. It's like an investment. You put it in there, you set things up so that this law benefits you. We can't wait for somebody else to make it benefit. It's like the museum.
But I don't think
it's like the museum. If we had paid for that museum, our generation coming down would have this museum.
Yeah, but
now
you have to first know who even thought that this museum thing wasn't, not that it was a bad idea. Who even thought, was it black people that really, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. But
right,
I'm just saying,
like, just because something has the black on the cornerstone,
I'm just saying,
don't mean
we
that
have things as people that we say we want.
Yeah, but when you have to be careful when you start saying things the way you're positioning it, there are people, black, white, green, indifferent, or whatever, who could care less about certain things.
Okay.
They're never going to get on that level.
Okay.
They're never going to be on the level you and I are on.
I'm still talking about 20 million people. I ain't said 140. Right. I ain't said 50. I said 20 million.
And I think that there are groups of people. I think there are groups of people who do that.
I'm not talking about groups. I'm talking about us.
Well, I am talking about us.
Okay.
I think there are groups of like-minded people who get together. Look, I know you do too, but I pay attention to that kind of stuff. There are black entrepreneurs, or not everybody want to be a business owner, but there are black enterprising people, like-minded people who get together and try to make things happen, whether it's on a grassroots level, whether it's on, the civic level, whether it's in business. There are people that are doing that. The issue is we don't have and I go back to this, we don't have people boots on the ground that fight local systems that make it hard for them to thrive. And that is the elephant in the room. Because sometimes in some communities, your money don't mean nothing. We don't want you here. Okay. That is a fact.
Yeah, that's
and not even with talking about minorities or black people, they do it among themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
So if they do it among themselves, imagine with the history and the legacy of how we've had to maneuver.
I agree
with that. So I get what you're saying. I understand that. I do think that it's not happening enough. And we do have some issues among us that we still have to sort out. Sometimes I kind of feel like we are kind of like babies in the game with some things, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't, this whole, the emotion, and then, like, for example, say we're going to dinner later. Mm-hmm. And I know between us, would never, ever be an issue. You got three people, three of us are going to dinner later. Imagine if we're not used to going to a nice place, sitting down, eating a good meal, not worrying about the bill, and when the bill come, ain't nobody tripping on who gonna pay it. Imagine sitting at the table with people who have been nickel and diming their whole life, not shitting on that. I'm just simply saying, just for context, that, I gave you $100. I'm just calling to find out what's up with that business. It's like, what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like, it doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I put in $50, so I feel like I should have a say so in what goes on, what goes down. Well, we have a committee that does this and that. Well, damn, a committee, it was like, or I didn't get my way or something like that. We have to sort out that kind of mentality.
Well, I already think. So one of the biggest things that I always think is that we have this. It's not a misconception. It's a true thing, but it's not a true thing. It's the black unity. And what I'm saying as I go there is that we think there's supposed to be one idea or one ideal that we're going to run for. And what I keep saying is, to get unity, you may put 5 things in the pot to make people join in that pot. You don't just have a pot of chicken. You got to put a little carrots in there. You got to put a little bit of potatoes in there. You got to put some onions in there. Oh, you got to put the chicken. You got to add a little broth. You got some stuff to add into it. Now, maybe you only like carrots and you only like chicken. But in this pot, if you add this to there, I'm going to make all your things grow. Your carrots are going to be delicious. Oh, really? Give me that $50. Your chicken is going to be scrumptious. Give me that $50. We're not going to just build one thing. And that's where I think we fall short. And that's when I always say we take money when government and we send out 5 million emails and you send them to everybody and you find the top 5 to 10 things that people want in different areas. And you take those things and you put it here. And then you take the money and you work for these things. That is unity. Although different people are getting different things that they want, that is still unity because we were able to come together to say we're going to take a list of it, and that's what doesn't happen.
So how do you address the systems?
The systems, that's what. So what is your problem with the system? What is your problem with the system? What would you like to see change in the system? All right, these are the things that we're doing for the system. This is the money that we need to change these things for the system. Now you've touched the things that people find important. I didn't just touch school system. I didn't just touch oversight. I didn't just touch property value. I talked to each of you. These things came up to me and they were told that these are important. What we need to do is X, Y, and Z to create balance in all these things. Everybody give your $50. You want to see property, you get $50, your property is going to do it. You want to see schools, your $50 is going to do schools. We're going to put this together and we're going to gain this money to take care of this. We don't want to see that we're multifaceted. We want to try to, we tell the world we're multifaceted. But when we look at a problem or when we look at our growth, we want to be single faceted. It ain't going to be. We stop looking at the multifaceted and dealing with the fact that we are multifaceted. What problems in Arizona, in the cities of Arizona, is not the same problems in the state and the cities of North Carolina, is not the same problems in Chicago, is not the same problems in Mississippi. So why are we still trying to fit this one thing like we got to come together, black unity, instead of taking these things and putting them in the pot and saying, look, everybody, what affects you affects us all. But how we're going to do it is we're going to work this whole pot. We got enough to do 5 things, and I'm taking the top 5 things that y'all said was a problem, and we're going to do it. It's local. These are the top 5 things that you said was a problem, and we're going to deal with this. National, top 5 things. And as you deal with 5 things, they change, and each time you get to deal something else, you get to deal with another 5, but you have support because once you change it one time, they see it works. Enough people are going to say, oh, shit. We need to do this because it worked. I actually made more money. I was worried about that $50. I actually made more money because my house was worth more, and the schools, my kids did better, and all of a sudden the oversight we got a raise. Let's do this again. Let's see if we can make some more money. It also teaches people about investments. It teaches people of how it's going to affect your thing. So it's a little thing, but it becomes very big, but we're scared to start with the little thing and add things together because we want to try to jump on this iceberg, this mountain, and take it down in one swoop instead of saying, look, let's take these 5 pedals.
I don't know. I hear you say that, and I've heard you say that many, many, many times. And on the surface, it makes sense what you're saying. But when you get down to the meat and potato of it, I just don't. The only
then that
part,
sounds like
the only
the
way
reparations
I
talk. That sounds like the reparations talk.
The only way I depart from what you're saying is that just like in regular society, you're always addressing more than one thing at a time.
But we don't put no funds to it, and we don't direct it to the thing.
Yeah, but that's a blanket statement, and this is the other part that. I think this is what I think is the biggest deal. We in contemporary America, and we're talking about black people, a black community is mostly, in my mind, a conceptual thing. Mm-hmm. They're just not really, with the exception of some enclaves here and there that are lingering, there is no massive group of
I agree.
Black people in one place. And it doesn't have to be to have to be mentally connected with each other. To say that your issue is not important maybe my issue is climate control. I could care less about, police reform. You're never going to get me as a black person to be on board with you talking about police reform.
Okay.
You could talk all day long about, Sandra Bland, Philando Castile,
Okay.
all these people that we know that met their demise on some BS.
Right.
Because I have been programmed, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, to focus and think about things in a different way.
Okay.
You're never going to get me to want to live among black people.
Okay.
You're never going to get me to, contribute to, you guys' freaking black museum thingy, whatever the fuck y'all doing
Even
over there.
better. Okay.
My whole point of saying all that is black people, we as a whole collective feel like we've arrived to a point.
Okay.
You have black people that are more invested in what's going on in the dominant culture and placing their money there than they are about putting money somewhere where it's going to make some changes.
I can
some
agree with
places.
that. However, when you're in that dominant culture, something always reminds you that you're not part of that dominant culture.
Well, that's a whole nother story right there.
So although they may not want to do this, when you send out that email and when you send it to, we send 10 million, so we can get an even bigger consensus of what's going on. And you get a third of the people say, yo, I'm more worried about climate control and the way that we're going to move in the dominant culture. Oh, this goes on the list. We're going by an important thing. We're going by what people's need, what people see. Like, it's not a consensus of, I understand you're an outlier. That's why I'm sending these things out, because I want to know what you thinking.
So you're saying, to your example then, I'm stepping forward. Let's say your ideal is successful. Mm-hmm. You've managed to get at least 3% of the black population to rock with your ideal. Mm-hmm. Money's coming from left and right, all over the place. Mm-hmm. And your top 5, number 10 is systemic racism. Okay. Police brutality is still a big issue. Mm-hmm. Things like that. I'm using those examples on purpose.
Right.
So to your example, because the top 5 things, give or take a few or whatever the main things are that people really, consensus is about, those other things never get addressed.
No, they didn't say they never get addressed.
So how do they?
Because
that's not how government works.
We're not talking about government. We're talking about us.
Well, you are talking about government.
We're talking about what we're going to get from
money.
Government. So if we get we take the top 5, we get these things done. There may be some money over to get 6, 7, but if not, we get these top 5
done. With the money, you got the money. One thing is not enough to have money.
As a number of us, and as a thing, we're going to work ourselves as a special interest group, and we're going to go and we're going to lobby. We're going to give some money and pat some backs and lobby for what the hell we want. We ain't just coming up in here waiting for a vote. We can't win with voting anyway. We're not waiting for somebody to sympathize with our plight. But you have to always
get people to, and I don't know what the numbers are right now. You always have to. When you're talking about Congress and you're talking about the Senate, you're going to always have to get people on board. Hell, white people have to get other white people on board with their thing.
The hell, we find some white person since we already doing it to get them on board. Okay. We got
to wrap it up.
That's what money for. You pay for it.
This has been a spirited.
It has been.
This took a direction that I didn't think it was.
It wasn't even. I was started off talking about some new strains of marijuana. Gee whiz.
Never bring up police reform in front of Shaka.
I tried to get them triggered, but I think I over-triggered them. Sorry, guys.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you know when we're on. Check out on Spotify. Yeah. See you. Peace out.
Peace.